Second day of practice. So we have that luxury, that privilege of having a full day to explore our human nature, explore the Dharma, and the practices of the Buddha. And yeah, very, very, very precious. And so, yeah, many things will be revealed here today. There's going to be maybe a bunch of bad news about how the mind behaves, and maybe also discoveries about the beauty of the mind, a kind of aesthetic of yeah, how the mind can be beautiful. Wholesome was a word that Joseph was using yesterday. Wholesome. Yeah, it's probably going to be a mix of different discoveries. I know for myself anyway, this morning I've already seen a bunch of bad news. and I'm aware of many possibilities of awakening. So I hope the day will be rich for you also. I was thinking and reflecting maybe on Joseph's talk yesterday, after he talked, as I instructed us or invited us spontaneously to do. And when I was reflecting, I was thinking, yeah, that's the way I hear it is, it's all about the relationship we have with, phenomena, events, things. That's how I would kind of sum up maybe everything I've learned about practice up to now, and maybe certainly partly what I've heard from both Roxanne and Joseph yesterday. It seems like it could be presented like this, that one of the main goal of practice, or way wisdom develops, is around a more healthier relationship with what's happening, discernment about what is happening and how we're relating to it. And I was also reading a beautiful essay from Analayo, who has so many books out, but I don't have it next to me here, but it's the one about taking the life of the Buddha and looking at it from the perspective of a Buddhist practitioner. And I don't remember the title, but maybe tomorrow I could give it to you. And he quotes the Buddha from a lot of different suttas. And there was a few things that were hitting me. And one that was making the Buddha like a real human being for me yesterday. So in this particular sutta, the Buddha describes kind of checking his mind. This is before enlightenment. And so he was checking his mind, and he's saying, oh, I noticed that my mind tended to kind of upset, return to, be fascinated by pleasures of the past. Pleasant events of the past, experiences of the past. I noticed that my mind didn't tend to kind of cling and be obsessed or fascinated with pleasures of the present, nor not too much about possible pleasures of the future. But I definitely noticed that my mind was a little bit stuck around pleasures of the past. And it fits his history because, as you know, as a young boy, man, anyway, so tells the legend that he was a kind of a young prince and had access to a lot of beautiful, music and tastes and sights and all of this. And so he was, as a practitioner, noticing the tendency of his mind, how he would abandon is kind of easily, very easily abandon his exploration of human nature as we do in mindfulness or meditation. He would abandon his intention of being here with what was happening here, and yeah, either deconstructing reality or checking out. Yeah, I don't find the words right now, but so he was abandoning this very easily to really return to back then, you know, how it was, and you know, and so I liked reading this, because then after, when I closed the book, you know, after reading that protect page or paragraph, you know, and you know, I would check in myself, you know, like, oh, what's my tendency, you know, or just let's be here now, and the tendency will be revealed. You know, that's what happens in practice. We sit and we give as much of a generous attention to the moment, the body, just sitting, breathing, alive. And whoops, tendencies of the mind will be revealed. And we could easily, you know, get impatient with this. We could have opinions about this, judge ourselves, wish it wasn't like this. But actually, I think we do this work for these things to be revealed. So this morning, as you practice, you know, tendencies of the mind will be revealed. And that is why we came here. So we can rejoice, you know, in a way. Oh, voila, it's revealed. Otherwise, I'm duped. I'm fooled. I just follow along, you know, back to the pleasantness of the past. Or what is it for you? The possible displeasures of the future. And so when we go on retreat, we retreat from the world. When we sit in meditation, we retreat momentarily from the world, but sometimes we don't actually inside, honestly, we don't. We're so involved and it's so juicy and fascinating, you know, so we want to become aware of that tendency to actually not retreat, even during retreats, you know, and it would be very natural that it would do this, but we want to wake up to this here, wake up to this. So what's the relationship with these tendencies? Instead of following them along habitually, obsessively, compulsively, we're called to, invited to actually change the relationship. Instead of being moved and taken for a ride by these tendencies, we're invited to actually become aware of them, become aware of them. And in the book, you will really want to get the book. It's probably free on the internet. I wouldn't be, I'm not sure, but Analayo's, a lot of his books, essays are available in PDF forms. And, so in this book, he was, in this same chapter, he was describing, and I love the Buddha for many reasons. Anyway, the one I made in my mind, I really enjoy a lot. And one thing that I love a lot is the images that are used, because they're so, for me, it works really well. You know, all these lists work well and images works really well. And he talks about the kind of fascination for either sense pleasures of the senses, but I think of it as the kind of fascination we have for our stories that we tell, you know, the stories we tell about later today, the rest of my life, about the past, about, you know, all these ways that we cover reality with a bunch of concepts and ideas and stories, narration and opinions and, you know, preferences and all this. And he talks about the kind of addiction, or it's very poignant image. I hope you're okay with this, you're ready for this. But he talks about lepers, people who have leprosy. And I actually didn't know this, but certainly at the time of the Buddha, people who had leprosy, they would, to alleviate some of the suffering they were feeling, they would cauterize, is that the word in English? Cauterize their wounds by putting their maybe fingers or toes or in the fire, close to the fire, burning, cauterizing. And so for a moment, it would reveal them from the suffering, and so there would be this addiction to go back, but it would actually make the disease worse. And so the Buddha, this is the Buddha talking, he would say, so, fire to a leper is really enticing. It's really, you want to go close and get a little fix, but to somebody who's had the chance to be, healed from leprosy, if you show this person a fire, they won't want to put their fingers or toes in it, for sure. They'll know very, very clearly that it's going to burn and, damage the skin. And he says, this is the same for those who have developed the wisdom, so that they're not so fascinated by their thoughts, They're not, they don't go right back in there as maybe a few of us here do, a few hundreds of us, a couple of hundred of us here might do. No, I'm not talking about you. I know your practice is far beyond mine and this, but, sometimes at different hours of the day, it might happen. And so that's one image. And I'll indulge in imagery here. Just one last one before we practice together. It's becoming very clear for me now that the Buddha did practice close to a river, because he comes back a lot with these images of wet wood. And so I like, they don't come naturally to me. That's clear that I'm living in a city like Montreal. And he comes a lot with images of wet wood. And so in this case here, he says, I don't want to use it because he uses different ways, reverse and all different ways. But yeah, he's saying, if you're cold and you want to start a fire, if you take wood that's been, hanging out in water, and it's full of water, you won't be able to start a fire. And in the same way, if your mind is, fascinated, full of thoughts and desire and about past, future, the world, the world. It's like you're a piece of wet wood. So you'll sit here and meditation is going to be very frustrating because, it's not going to catch, And so there's the practice of meditation we do is this practice of renouncing the world, So sitting in a quiet place like we are all hopefully doing now, keeping the back upright, putting mindfulness as the first value, this quality of presence that Joseph described yesterday as non-judgmental, not just a recognition, but a very patient, accepting, touching of experiencing of reality. So we put mindfulness to the foreground of our values here. And we let go of what concerns the world. We let go of everything that concerns the world of moi, the world of, and we just attend to the present experience here. It's a form of renunciation. We are renouncing the fascination for the stories we could tell about who we could be or who we will be or what will happen, and we just attend to here now. And we do this, and again, these tendencies will be revealed in all kinds of ways. And we can wake up to this. And it doesn't have to be a complete hindrance. Waking up to it is mindfulness. Oh, look at that. How the mind evaded or got caught or lost in its habitual tendencies. And what is the experience of being here now? Being here now. Shall we try this a little bit? We'll do a good 30 minutes of practice here. So we're changing the relationship to a lot of things here. The body, instead of not considering it, we choose maybe to consider it, to feel it. So it's a different relationship to the body. Maybe not for you, but for many of us. When it was the last of our concerns, now it becomes a central thing that we're aware of or caring about. Waking up to. And an awareness of the body and the big framework, as Joseph mentioned yesterday, there is a body. Establishing a relationship with the body, sitting, breathing, and maintaining this relationship. This way we allow the relationship to our thoughts to change a bit. We lose some of the fascination for them. The kind of codependence, the way we're enamored by thoughts. And if they appear now, the relationship might be different. We might be aware, awake. And in time, we'll probably become aware of moods, the tonality in there, the state of mind. And again, it's a new relationship. Instead of being under the spell of this mood, we'll become aware of it. Like become aware of the presence of agitation instead of running with it. Or we might become aware of the friendliness in there. And be nourished by it. Under the cherry blossom tree of our care, there is no stranger. We get to know everyone, everything that shows up intimately. There is a whole living system here, alive with coolness or coldness or warmth, dynamic with tingling, movements of breath, alive with moods and images maybe passing through. A whole living system here, sensitive in all kinds of ways. There is an awareness of this, of the dynamic nature in this living field. Expansions and contractions, quietness, or unease, or empathy, compassion, care. Movements in the body, and movements in the heart, psyche, mind. Aware of the dance of all these elements. Sometimes we wake up, there's an awareness suddenly of the mind gone in some direction of forgetfulness, obsession, compulsion of some sort. And there's an awareness of it and a possibility to reorient, to choose again. Maybe presence, to choose presence to the body, alive, breathing. Maybe to choose care, calm, or invite these qualities in the field. Can this be known? Can this be known? Can this be okay? Can this be experienced fully? Whatever this is, it could be something happening in the body, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Could it be known instead of pushed away or dismissed? Could it be known? Could it be okay? Is it possible to stay with this for a little while here? It could be something internal of the heart mind, in the heart mind area. This ease, discomfort in the heart, or this joy or calm or not muchness. Could this be known just as it is? Could it be okay that it's here? Could it be experienced just now as it is? And if we want, we can name to help feel. Oh, aching heart. Oh, numb heart, tender heart, and then feeling, becoming aware, experiencing. If we get lost, we can always become aware that there's a body sitting here. There's a body alive here now. There's a body here. Come back to that kind of sanity, of non-delusion here. Aware that life is happening, embodied life, here now, through tingling, or pressure, or movement, or hearing. There's a sensitive body. And if you want, notice for a few moments the dynamic nature of whatever is being experienced, known, whatever comes in the field of awareness, if it's hearing of a bird or the traffic, notice the dynamic nature of hearing. Even if it's silence, notice the dynamic nature of silence. Silence is flowing. It might be stopped by any sound. Notice, if you want, the dynamic nature, the changing nature of breath, expansion, followed by contraction maybe, a rising of belly, becoming the falling of the belly. Or even if thoughts cross the mind, you might be able to notice the dynamic nature of thinking, how the images or words are passing through. If there's a mood you're aware of, notice how it's in operation, in action, in you, dynamic, alive. Joseph suggested that when we notice the changing, dynamic nature of phenomena, it's not possible to cling. Check this out. Is that true for you? Chances are the quality of the attention is also fluctuating, alive. No need to cling to this. It's very natural, maybe, for the attention to be gathered and suddenly scattered. Sometimes it's well established, and sometimes it's intermittent. Notice the quality of the attention here. It's not you, yours. Can't cling to this. Can't force this, but we can invite a fuller awareness of what's happening, more intimate relationship to one thing happening. And for the last couple of minutes here, if you know me, you know the invitation is to open the eyes if they're closed, to see if we can practice with eyes open. If there can be an intrigued attention, a curious attention. There can be an awareness of a body, although the dominant sense of sight is back, dominant for many of us. Can there be, with eyes open, an awareness of mind states, inner life, or attitude? Not in a judgmental way, just to be aware, more factual. Oh. Awareness of sight, of colors and shapes, the kind of meaning that comes with what we see. And an awareness of breath, maybe. And an awareness of us, this particular group, gathered around the intention to be present. Okay, if the body, the posture of the body is released in some way, or if there is movement, why not use this as a vehicle for awareness? Oh, awareness reveals movement, and movement reveals awareness. Okay, thank you. So yeah, we're cultivating. I'll put it to this word now, and we're cultivating a new relationship with things. Even if you've been practicing for 25 years or 30 years, there's the freshness of this moment. We've never been here now before. We've never been aware this time, here, this morning, or afternoon, or whatever. Now before. There's a freshness. And this quality of mind could even reveal, if you're kind of blasé, oh yeah, I've been practicing for decades now. Awareness could even go that far as to reveal that attitude of mind. And you could experience, a new relationship with the blasé mind, and suddenly there could be a waking up. Oh, there was a flattening of things, a dismissing of reality, of being alive now. Something that is so dynamic, so changing that one day it won't happen anymore. And so we're alive now. And that's the truth of it, is we don't know how long this will last. We have no idea of how long, we don't even know if we'll end the day, really. I'm sorry, I hope it's not too anxiety producing, but certainly factual. This is the deal. We don't know how long this will last, but it's happening now. It might be worthy, might be precious, right? We're alive now. What a strange thing. Yeah? And practicing meditation today. So what I'm discovering from it, I've been discovering for a long time, but it keeps revealing itself again this morning. This is, although the attention can be general, so general that we would only just be aware of the body sitting, or that there is a body, in the way that Joseph often frames it, based on the Buddha's words. There is a body, so it's a very general awareness. And within this, the breath, within this, maybe the other sensations in the body, coolness, warmth, touch. Maybe within this, even the awareness of moods, so there can be a general awareness, and awareness that is a wide field, you could say, and awareness as that capacity, or mindfulness, I'll use them synonymously just now, as the capacity to become very, very minute, tiny, so much so as to kind of isolate bird song, so that it focuses or zooms in, reveals that particular aspect of experience. It can move from inside, outside, can be wide or very, very kind of pointy, you could say. Yet, in all these cases, whatever the scale of what we're taking in is, I think what I'm discovering is that it remains precise. It's not vague. So that would be the thing we could get mixed up. We could sit here, oh yeah, there's a body, and everything's kind of vague. No, it's not vague. There's a precision. We're really here now. We're awake to what's happening here now. And it could be the whole body sitting, as I'm trying to do now, or doing now. Or it could be, I don't know, just the experiences of the fingers. Yet it knows what it knows. And it's uneven. Yeah, for sure it'll become vague, but we wouldn't want to practice vagueness all day, We want to come close to experiences, be intimate with them. What else? Is there anything else I wanted to mention here? I think we could open up for a few questions, and we'll have a big Q&A this afternoon with Joseph, but I think it could be good to answer a few questions this morning. It's a way also to continue to give instructions and talk about the practice. And we also have an ulterior motive, is we want to check our way of doing Q&A to make it easier for Joseph this afternoon. So we're going to pretend we're doing a Q&A, and we're going to do it too. So, Muriel, would you explain to us how we're going to proceed?
Yes. So the way we're going to proceed is this. You're going to write me a message on the chat if you have a question. And if you can just mention the word question, that would be helpful. And then I will unmute you. And then you can actually ask your question to Pascal. And I'm going to take them in the order actually that I receive them. And also if you can, I just want to thank you for your patience, in the time that I will take to unmute you, to find you and unmute you. So I will wait I'll be looking at the.
Yeah, and if you want, you can also open your camera. If you want, you don't have to. So it would be just your voice, or if you put your camera on, you'll appear. And it's actually nice to have this human, relationship encounter. And so see.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, please, Maria.
Yeah, there's a question from Charles Lee Joseph. I'm unmuting you, Charles Lee.
Hi, good morning, friends. I'm Charles Lee. I'm on unceded Tiwa land in the southwest of America in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And thank you for taking my question. I have one comment. Pascal, your blasé accent sounded strangely American. And but my question is, what often comes up, kind of a minor annoyance during meditation, is the sensation of itchiness, of needing to itch. And now I don't like to be bit by bugs, so if I really think it's a bug, I tend to move. But often it's not. So I don't know if you had any practice suggestions with the sensation of itching.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, we know about bugs here too, up north in Canada. And yeah, itch is a very common thing that does happen during meditation. So, there's no wrong way. You could decide to scratch or not, depending on what you perceive as showing up, And so the baseline is there's no mistake. You do whatever you feel like doing. The invitation could be, if you want, to just see if you can allow the itch to be experienced as it is. So would you say it's something pleasant or unpleasant?
I'm going to unmute him because he can't.
You can maybe leave the...
Yeah. There we go. Would I say it's unpleasant, or I think it's mostly unpleasant. And I have experimented with kind of allowing it, but I would say my reaction is that it's unpleasant.
Yeah. So totally, it makes sense to me. That's how I would think of it also. So it shows up as unpleasant. Maybe the practice would be to, before scratching, just staying there. And like Joseph talked about noting yesterday. So taking this mental note, itching maybe, or maybe naming unpleasant, because that's kind of like what makes a lot of the experience, is that it's unpleasant. And just see if it's possible to stay with unpleasant for a moment and stay with it. And there's a revolution that I find pretty interesting in the mind where, unpleasant to me leads to aversion, usually. I don't like, let's get rid of. And I'm trying to see if unpleasant could lead to curiosity. What is the experience of unpleasantness? And even, it's not in all cases, but sometimes it will lead to joy, which to me is a strange alchemy. When usually anything unpleasant to me would lead to aversion, I'm discovering that there's a kind of a possibility in some cases where something unpleasant, because of my curious mind, what is the experience of unpleasant? something almost enthusiasm, like, oh my God, it's unpleasant, let me stay here. You know, it would be almost energizing. How can I be with this? And in the case of, you know, itch, you can scratch. But in life, the teachings say that there'll be, you know, pleasant and unpleasant will come. Sometimes we can stop something unpleasant from happening pretty easily. And sometimes actually we can't, because there will be disease, old age, and death, you know, and all kinds of things around that, that we won't have a. And so in practice, we're interested in changing a bit our relationship to unpleasant so that we can stay kind of either full or free or resourced. There's different ways to talk about this in the middle of unpleasantness. So a lot of the training is to allow the unpleasantness to be there so that we can respond to it wisely instead of compulsively, like shutting down, attacking, collapsing, that we could maybe respond to unpleasantness creatively, you know? So keep all our intelligence, our values, all this. So this is all playing out with a simple itch. It's very rich, right?
Yeah, it's like a microcosm of life.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Thanks so much for asking. I'm so happy you're there. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal.
Because the next question is from Heather Finlayson Fenton.
Yes. Okay. Just before you ask your question, Heather, I want to just say a little something. So we're going to try here when we do this, and this afternoon with Joseph, I think we're going to keep this going, is we're going to try to not assume gender. We're going to try to not give you a gender that it might not be the one that you, that is yours, actually. And so I want to say this so everybody can feel welcome to come forward and ask a question, and you won't be misgendered because we won't use that framework to exchange together. And so, Heather, so happy you're there. What's going on?
Hi, Pascal. Hi, Muriel. Thank you so much for hosting the retreat. I'm just going to comment because I could not do retreat this year with my baby, except for now I can. So thank you for organizing. My question is about noting practice. I haven't done very much, and so anything that you could say about it would be helpful. And in particular, I find that my mind gets overwhelmed by all the things that could be noted. And so it's skittering around like, oh, the sole of my foot and the memory from when I was 5 and this and this and this. And I mean, I heard you say you could note just the tone. That's a nice option. Could you say some more about focusing or how much direction you should give to noting practice?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, I was happy to hear Joseph bring this back in a way because, you know, in the recent years or last decade, it kind of, anyway, from many leading teachers, it fell away a bit. And that's how it felt to me when Joseph was talking about it yesterday. It was like, oh, he's bringing this back. And it's such a powerful tool. And yet there's the art of working with it, right? And so, you know, some of the classic things we say about it is that the note, we want it to be not kind of overpowering, you know, overstaging the experience. You know, it's very delicate. It's just this framing, as Joseph was saying yesterday, around an experience. So for you, if you say you haven't worked with labeling or noting before, you know, it's like starting a new sport. If you know, I'll use that example. At the beginning, you know, if you start skiing, you'll be like, oh my God, my skis are everywhere. Well, not they're just in your feet, but they're in the middle of all the experience right now. So it would be very natural that it would be clumsy, you know, and all over the place, you know. But in time, you'll probably, you know, because you bring awareness and your full, rich intelligence to it, you know, you'll notice for yourself how it's hindering or how it's helping. And so the way to work with it is to actually just, when we want to come closer to something to help us focus on, it's as if the mind is inviting the attention there. So it's just, it's not many, it's one word that invites silence, that invites feeling, you know. So that's the goal of it. If it says, like, let's say in walking, if I say stepping, it's inducing, inviting silence that's feeling the thing. So of course it can't be like noting everything. It's just it's a frame that invites us to experience. So it's an invitation. So that's the goal or the intention of it. So if you sit there and you say breathing, for me it's like, what's happening, Pascal? What's happening in this kind of undifferentiated reality? What's happening? Breath. And then the experiencing of it. So it's a kind of a dance, you know, you name and feel, and name and feel. And one of the classic images that I like a lot is it says that the note should be as, you know, light and almost transparent as the wing of a dragonfly. And so it's not overpowering the experience. It's very delicate. It's just an invitation to feel. And so, you know, one tendency when we start labeling or noting would be to have the perfect note, you know. So it's just the tendencies of the mind. They just, you know, the tendency to clings to noting now. It's the new clinging, you know. I want the perfect note for this emotion. No, it's just feeling a lot. Fear is here, you know, and always the silence that follows. Helpful a little bit? Anything else? So happy to see you both. You look healthy and well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Muriel, just before you go, maybe I'm more like it. So noting can be used around physical events. So in practice, it'll be, maybe I'm sitting here and I'll just say hearing. Sometimes I say it twice. I've learned it like this, hearing. And then the experience of it, or stepping in the walking, or breath. In, out is a very classic note, you know, but the feeling is really important that follows. So it could be with physical experiences, but it also can be a really good way to practice with emotions, naming the emotion. Oh, impatience, rage, quietness. And always the invitation again is to feel what I call quietness, calm. It's almost as if there was a question, calm, what is calm? And then it feels. I like Ajahn Sumedho, I think, as a noting that is a phrase where he'll say, you know, fear feels like this. So it says, you know, it's an invitation to feel, oh, fear feels like this. Oh, joy feels like this. Ambiguity, shame feels like this. Inviting a curious, silent feeling of the phenomena. Joy feels like this. Thank you. So maybe another question, Muriel, merci, thanks. You know, you could ask also, sorry, Muriel, I keep interrupting you. You could ask in French and I'll translate both I'll respond in English and translate the question.
Hello, Pascal. Hi.
Hi.
I like the idea of meditation as a sport, and maybe in the future an Olympic event. Who knows? You know. My question is, I guess my query is about when we're talking about the body, and Joseph was talking about coming back to the body, and just as simple as coming back to the body, but I think where I get maybe confused or scattered is which body are we talking about? Because we're talking about the physical body, the mental body, the energetic body, the sensorial body, and then the interpretation of all of that. And so yeah, I'll let you speak to that, because I tend to maybe focus in one direction and then other things come up and it's not clear to me. So
okay, good. Thank you for the question. So you know, I think I know that you come from the world of yoga a bit, and so it means you're coming to practice with some frames of reference, with a way to understand the world and the world of body or bodies, you know, which somebody else might not have that kind of frame of reference. So the idea here, I think, would be for you to bring your knowledge of the world or the way you perceive the world, maybe as we have many bodies, you know, to bring this in the field and, you know, have some clarity for you of, you know, and in your noting, if you were to experience noting, that would be part of it. And their energy body feels like this right now. And then this experiencing with, you know, fresh, curious, calm, caring attention. And so you can definitely use your frame, but that particular frame of reference is not exactly as I know it in the Buddhist psychology. And so, but you know, these are the ways that we perceive and create the world, you know. So even when I just say body, there's no body. There's no body. There's a field of, you know, tingling and heat and pressure. And, you know, I could easily say there is a body or there's no body. There is no body. There's just what I call the body is events of the past, present, future, you know. There's the tingling that was there earlier is not there anymore. And so, you know, the more we practice, the more we'll see that it's very limited, this naming the body, you know. What is the body? You know, sometimes it feels light and centered, and sometimes it feels all, you know, crooked or contracted, or, you know, and so it's, we're very interested in practice and becoming aware of the changing nature. So we're breaking a little bit concepts, you know. You already have with the, whatever, 7 bodies or 9 bodies or 5 bodies you think of, you know. And in the practice, we're going to go a little bit further and even drop at some point from the point of view of conversation and communication. We'll say the body, my body, your body, but in experience, sometimes it's not a body anymore. It's a field of warmth, you know. And I'm freed in a way from the limiting idea of a solid, permanent body. Is that helpful a little bit? You can keep the mic open for the whole exchange, Muriel. Thanks.
Okay. Yes. And I guess a follow-up would be, is the idea that we eventually drop this idea of the body, you know, as we progress, right? Because I guess from what I'm understanding, it's like it's used as a container for things, to experience things. So we're saying this is happening in the body or of the body or the field of, and is the idea that eventually that is dropped away as well, because you said it's, yeah.
It's the clinging that we want to drop, you know, the making solid, permanent self, etc. So, but in a way we could say, yeah, we'll drop it, but in a way, no, because, you know, I'll be sitting in meditation, it's a field of sensations playing, and then I'll encounter somebody and they'll say, you know, how are you? I'm like, oh, my body is achy, you know. so it's not like, oh, I'm never going to perceive body anymore. You know, like, yeah, I'm going to be able to talk about bodies and go to the doctor and talk about my body. But in a way, I know a little bit more. You know, I know that these are, you know, there's many ways we actually explore that, what we call the body in meditation. It could be through the 4 elements of fire, air, water, and earth. And you know, so it's to break the idea that this is me, this is my body, and it's always been the same. In practice, we slowly break this down and say, oh, this is a play of element. This is nature, you know. Oh, I don't have to cling to it as me or mine or identify to it, but I want to take care of this really well and know the boundaries of it, who touches it and who doesn't, you know. And so there's a lot of richness in there. But yeah, what we want to let go of is the clinging, because the clinging comes with fear, the fear of losing, the wanting to defend. And in practice, the wisdom will tell us that this is there. It needs great care and love. And it belongs to nature, you know. That's my quick reply to something pretty deep. Thank you. Thanks. Maybe we could do one last question or comment. Thank you, Muriel.
Actually, there's a question that the person would prefer to stay muted. So I can ask it. Okay. It's from René. We are often invited to investigate and be curious of our current state of mind and heart, and I find myself frequently crossing into obsession thinking. How can I tell the difference before it gets too far?
Okay. Thank you, René, for the question. So yeah, the balance in meditation is extremely important. That's almost you could say the whole art of meditation is finding balance between different kind of qualities or energies. And so the quality of investigation in the practice needs to be met, which is the quality of investigation is a quality of that is energizing, and it needs to be met with an equal amount of calm. Because if the calming quality, such as concentration, calm, I would put in there. So this is in one kind of a group of teaching of the 7 factors of awakening. You know, you want to bring a balance between energizing factors such as curiosity or investigation. I use it synonymously right now. Joy, the energy, has to be met with calm, concentration, and equanimity. And so if there is a disbalance, the mind will become discursive and obsessive, as you seem to be describing. You know, like, oh, what is this? What is it? You know, and so we practice bringing a lot of calm in the field. And sometimes it could go, I think from experience, I would say from care, from benevolence, as maybe that quality of bringing some calm in the field. And so you need to check this out as you're practicing, and maybe you'll want to let go a little while of the investigation aspect and nurture the calming factors. And so staying with the breath might be a way to calm the mind, not trying to investigate so much, saying, oh, I'm going to let go of investigation and work at stabilizing the mind, quieting the mind. Sometimes in another group of, in another list, I just named the 7 factors of awakening. You could go and research that. There's plenty, it's very rich. You'll have a really interesting year of practice just with that list. There's another one, which are the 5 faculties. And I think in the 5 faculties, investigation is balanced by faith. And that's interesting to consider, no? And sometimes we actually want to solve everything because, you know, and to actually trust the process might be calming, to actually remember that, you know, the Dhamma unfolds by itself. You know, if I remember Munindraji saying, just sit there, to Joseph many times, just sit there and know you're sitting, and the whole of the Dharma will be revealed. So you don't have to figure everything out. Just a quiet presence will make things appear. And the discernment will be done by the mind, the stable mind that is present and remain present to what is happening. And so investigation balanced by faith, trust, and balanced by calm and concentration Concentration is the opposite of scattered, the mind being scattered all over the place, you know. And so the staying power of the mind, you can invest in this, you know. Can I contact the breath and stay? And the mind will want to say something, ask something, question something, and let's stay here, love. Stay here. And in this way, the mind will become very powerful. Investigation will be welcomed in that very quiet mind. That's why, for example, the noting is followed by silence. The gathering, we want a silent mind. The insight is going to come out of a quality contact with reality, quality and sustained, silent contact. So when the mind becomes discursive, you know, as soon as there is like more than one sentence, I think we're not in meditation anymore. I'd say that as a general rule, you know. As soon as it's like this and it's like this. No, just one sentence. What is this? Silence, answer. Silent awareness answers. Oh, heavy. The intelligence is in the silent awareness. So play with this, you'll see for yourself. Okay? Thank you for the Q&A. Worked well. We know how we're going to proceed this afternoon. And now there's an opening of practice for an hour and a half before Roxanne appears with all her wisdom. And so this is very rich here, because the door opens to habitual living again, you know, just compulsive, habitual ways of doing things. But there's a real possibility, because we're on retreat, because we put that time aside. And I wonder if we could all commit to at least one sitting before the next, before we gather together, and some walking. So say I'm actually going to take a few moments to walk in a mindful way, not to walk, as a vehicle for awakening sensitivity, maybe becoming aware or having intention around calming the mind, or, you know, making the mind more friendly, you know, inviting, let's do a walking in friendliness, in care, or in quietness. And then a sitting in there of whatever length is a little edge for you. I was going to say comfortable, but no. Sitting, you know, with some stillness of the body and awareness for a little edge here. For some of us, it might be that 15 minutes would feel right and we'll do 20. For some of us, we'll commit to sitting for 45 or 50 minutes. Whatever seems like a little edge for you to do this on your own. Often in retreats, we're supported because everybody's going back to the hall, so we just follow along. And here, this really beautiful opportunity to, you know, bring self-reliance, very powerful determination. And so in this hour and a half, at least committing to one walking session and one sitting session, already this would be beautiful, powerful. And if for you it seems like a piece of cake, then you'll do it a few times. Okay? Could that work? Thank you so much. See you later.